A lot of people think it's just my story, but I tell you, there are lots of young women whose story this is as well, but they didn't have the voice. And well, unfortunately for me, I've always been, very bold, very outspoken, something that I was actually shunned for my whole life. But then when I found that my voice was my powerhouse, I said I need to tell this story, not just for me, but for these other young women. I mustn't name them, but through me, they get to relate, they get to find themselves. And some people even read and they're like, but this is me. This thing was happening exactly to me at this specific time. So those details were necessary. I couldn't shy from them. I couldn't lie about it. I couldn't hide it, no matter how much it made maybe people see me. Because I know, like you said, in our context, people will be like, oh, you don't say this kind of thing. You don't. I mean, this is a book about me and my mom and the way I tell the story. You don't say that about your mother, right? But that is how it is. That is what happened, and it needs to be said. So yeah, I put it out there.
Yeah, that's true. And looking at what you mentioned in the book, your relationship with your mother, it really is a complex relationship, and I think it's something that got to define you as a person. And you talk about not feeling beautiful, but I look at you today. You're confident and incredibly beautiful woman. How did you make that transition from dealing with a mother who was very difficult to deal with, and that said all these things which affected your self-worth, and developing into the person that you are today?
Very difficult journey. I think I'm still on it, because there are still those times when you feel you're not enough. Some words still get to you, but then it's the thing about me is I have always known that I was not those things, and I think that is what maybe not many people liked around me. I was in a geography where you could say those things. I wasn't the only one that was said to, but it's just that it had been the norm for such a long time that even when you see it happening to someone, they don't question it. Like, you take it as it's given to you. You don't ask questions, you don't rebel, you don't say no to anything. You take it as it's given. And then the problem with me was I didn't take it. Sometimes I'm thinking that maybe it's the fact that I moved from my village to town really early, and then I used to live with my mom's older sister, my adoptive mom, and I thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world, and so that started setting standards of beauty for me. And I remember when she would buy me a really nice dress, or I remember this one Christmas I slept with my Christmas shoes, and it didn't pose a problem to her. So those kinds of things made me know I was beautiful until I left from there, and then I moved to this place where, well, then I was not. So the transition, as you're growing up as a young girl, and there's also a lot of societal pressure, right? Because no matter what you think, there are also things that away from this person, people would also say to you. When you're a young girl, when you're an adolescent, maybe, or you're a young adult, when you're walking on the streets. I'll just take a quick example. In our markets, you know how you go to the market, and then maybe when you're passing around, those boys that sell maybe clothes, or they're pulling you, and then maybe they might pull you, and then you're like, oh no, I don't want it. And they're like, hey, tu penses que tu es qui? Laide fille. And I tell you, those things look like they don't get to people, but I bet you they do. That just that one line can literally spoil your whole day. And they don't say it too. They don't look at the girls before saying it. You would see a very, very beautiful girl, and when they say it, they know that she's beautiful. They know they're bruising your ego, but it gets to you. So for me, it's really, like I was just in our pre-discussions before, I was just saying, I read a lot of books growing up. My God, I can't even read now. I don't even have that time anymore. But I read so many books that I knew what was wrong. They say knowledge is power, right? I knew when it was wrong. And I knew that beauty comes in so many forms. It's true that people people set their standards. I mean, they set standards that they don't have, and then they go on cutting parts of their body and fixing the holes in their teeth and doing anything to fit back into those standards that they set. But from the books I read, one of the very earliest books that influenced my perception of myself was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And if you've read Jane Eyre, you'll know that that is how Jane used to feel about herself. Because her family, that's what they said about her. She was not until she met this Rochester of a man. So when I started reading that part in the book, to me, I was surprised at how much someone has been ugly, because I used to believe she was, all her life. And then this very rich, this very, solicited man finds her as the most beautiful thing. What is it about her? And then I knew that he found her intelligence beautiful. He found maybe the way she would mock at something beautiful. Her laugh was beautiful. And then I started finding those things in me. I bet you, today I speak about my voice and I'm loud, but there are times when I didn't even like hearing my own self, because my whole life they had told me, anytime I speak, even when I'm shushing, they're like, oh, shh, lower your voice is too loud, But then I started finding pleasure in my voice when I started theater. And anytime I would come on the stage, people would be struggling, an actor is performing and they're saying, please volume. The moment I come, they're like, that's Ngunyam. That's how they call me in the theater space. They say, that's Ngunyam. That's our girl. Like, we don't need to stress with her. Then I fell in love with my voice. Before then, I had fallen in love with how smart I was. I used to have imposter syndrome. I didn't want to say it, but then I owned up to it. I was smart. I understood things that people didn't understand. I didn't need to read to pass an exam. I started appreciating those things about me. I started appreciating my body. And I bet you that was the worst war as a young woman. Your body can never, even the most beautiful girl, she feels she's not enough. But then I found things about me that were nice for me. And then, I fell in love with myself. I started falling in love even with my writing. I would write something and read. I'm like, girl, you didn't write this. You have too much sense. So just those things, bit by bit, one thing after the other. That's why I say it was a journey. It still is. Yeah, because sometimes I'm like, can I change my legs for someone else's legs? But yeah, today there's nothing you're telling me, because I find you beautiful. You don't have to be tall or short or fat or slim or whatever. I find myself beautiful. I find, I don't know who beautiful. You don't set standards for me. I set the standard for what I want to consider as beauty in me. And that beauty, my powerhouse today, my voice, my mind, what I do for people, it makes me know that I am beautiful. So yeah.
That brings me back to one of the problems that I see in society today. A lot of young girls have basically that same problem, and maybe instead of looking at it like the way you just explained, they look at it in another way, and they find it really difficult to live with those that are basically supposed to be there for them. It could be parents or your guardians. So how do you, as someone who has been through that journey, finding yourself from being a young girl to being able to find yourself and be a confident young woman who knows their worth in the world, what advice can you give to, say, a parent that has a young girl that is going through that type of worry, that is in their head a whole lot, feeling that they are not enough, feeling that they need to do more or be more to be worthy?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one, because the influences, particularly around young girls today, it's a lot. The moment you turn an eye, you have a classmate in school that's telling you, oh no, you're too dark, you can have this thing that I use, it can make you fairer. Or you turn to the left, there's another person say, oh, why do you have so much acne? I have this thing you could use to clean it off. And it is really hard, but I think that for you as a parent, the first thing you do is teaching by example. Your child knows if you're a confident person, if you like yourself as you are. Obviously, if you begin changing yourself, then that's the lesson you're giving your daughter or your son. You're trying to tell them they're not enough, because you're the parent, you don't even think you're enough. And I totally understand, right? Because it's such a cycle. it's not as if you're the parent. Most of our parents too grew up in cycles where they were always told that they were not enough. So all their lives they're trying to fit in. Your parents will tell you you're not enough. Maybe you end up with a husband who tells you you're not enough. Your friends tell you you're not enough. And then you spend your whole life trying to fit in. If you're a people pleaser, if you're someone who you live your life according to the terms that people set for you, then obviously what do you expect of your child? For me, for example, in my household, I'm someone, I love music. I love a lot of music. And I listen to so many kinds of it. Like the musics I listen to, if you see me at work and they tell you I can be listening to that kind of stuff, you'll be like, nah, that's not her. So today in my household, I have like a full house. I live with my niece, I live with my son, I live with my older sister, I live with my younger sister. It's a full house. And I remember that when I got particularly these children, I mean, my older sister, we sort of have the same characteristics because we grew up together. So our mom influenced us too. But when these children came, I got them all from the village and they came. Remember my younger sister used to be, she likes the music, but because she has been in a space where she's always enclosed, you know, because that's what it means over there to show that you're a good girl. You don't be too loud. You can, why are you dancing? Good girls don't dance. Good girls go to the farm and they work a whole farm a day. Good girls, they go to church. You don't talk, you know. So she always used to have this envelope around her. And what I started doing is, like, if you come to my house on Saturdays, especially when, you know, I've not traveled, no one has traveled, we're all at home, it's really restful. It's crazy. Like, we're playing, my son is 12 now. This guy literally, he sings Gilobe. Like, which 12-year-old sings Gilobe? He sings, and then he sings Grass Deka. When he's singing, you know, he's dancing, and then he's enjoying like that. And I'm like, man, because I the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted a house where children can express themselves. It doesn't mean I'm not strict. I bet you I'm very strict, and I can lose it very quickly. But I wanted my kids to trust me to begin with, because I remember how I used to be with a parent I didn't trust.